So this week, my son has just taken his first GCSE exam, and watching him go through all of that stress and revision just brought something back to me that I haven't thought about in years and years and years. I remember when I was at school and we were choosing our own GCSE subjects, and the whole thing was organised into boxes. You had to pick one from this category, one from another category, something from humanities, something from sciences, one language only. And I remember thinking, well, what if I want doesn't fit into these boxes? Anyway, I was really worried about this. I went home and I spoke to my mum because what I wanted to do was multiple languages. I loved languages. I wanted to do French and German at the same time, and I didn't want to do geography or history. But the head of the year, made this big speech and said, well, these are your options. This is what you have to do. It's very regimented. So I went home, I spoke to my mum, as I said, and she said, Robin, don't let anyone ever tell you that you have to become something that you're not. If you don't want to do geography, don't do geography. Of course, I was in my teenage compliance mode, so I said, but the head of the year says I've got to do this. She said, don't worry, listen, forget about it. Next week, she marched into Parents' Evening, found the table with the head of year, and of course he repeated the same thing about box A, box B, everyone needed to do this. And she looked him right in the eye and said, what right do you have to tell my son what he can and he can't do with his life? If he doesn't want to do geography, there is no way in hell he's doing geography. These are called choices, after all. Boxes are for the average student. The next week, I awkwardly filled in my choices form, picking the subjects I wanted and having to write outside the boxes to say what I wanted to do. And my friends all said, you're going to get into trouble. It's funny how certain things stay with you for the rest of your life. And, I've been thinking about this because modern life, again, it treats you in the same way. I feel like it's trying to fit me into boxes. Or maybe I'm trying to fit myself into these boxes just to find work. But, algorithms, they categorise us, they analyse us, schools look at us in the same way, there's career paths. Everything wants to reduce people into manageable systems that they can predict. And obviously societies need this structure. The Romans understood this just as much as anyone. But what's interesting is that the ancient world also admired individuality and creativity enormously, just as we do today. If you look back at Socrates, he irritated almost everybody around him because he questioned accepted thinking constantly. He didn't fit into the neat Athenian society at all. And of course, 2,000 years later, we're still talking about him. And later, in the later Roman Empire, you've got Marcus Aurelius again, who wrote repeatedly about the importance of living according to your own nature, not somebody else's. Modern systems, they're all geared up towards producing standard people. Don't rock the boat, don't ask for something that's not listed on the menu, chicken, beef, vegetarian, that's it. But creativity usually comes from people slightly outside the pattern, people who don't fit in perfectly, the people who keep sort of being pulled in a different direction. Now, I don't think my mother was telling me to reject society or anything really dramatic like that. Maybe she was, I don't know. But I think she just understood something simple, which is that sometimes the most important thing in life is protecting the part of yourself that feels different. Anyway, it turns out I've now travelled to something like 60 countries in my life, many of them countless times, and I never once got lost. So, not doing geography at GCSE? Well, Windsor Boys School in 1992, you know what you can do with your boxes.